Oh, there's our guest. Look at that. Jackpot. Solid gold Saturday night. Welcome to the show, Flash Dustin Waller.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is great. I figured out how to finally get it.
Hey, it's fine. That's what makes this show fun. We've said it a lot of times. A lot of people jump on and they're like, they don't really know we're live. I don't know how to do a show that's not live. So I like the fact that some people struggle. I feel bad that maybe you had some difficulty, but it makes it fun. We're all human, right?
Yeah, of course.
So welcome to the show. Thanks for giving us your time tonight. Flash Dustin Waller. Are you a comic book fan?
A little bit. When I was younger, I was. When I was younger, I'm not into it as much as I should be now. I feel like,
right.
obviously.
Right? That's odd because, I mean, it's not odd. I was a comic book fan younger. I'm probably definitely older than you. Not probably, I am. And, and like now, like back then when I was like, there weren't many comic book fans. And now we're like taking over. Like they're all over the place. There's movies, there's shows. Disney Plus has just gobbled it all up. Oh, yeah. HBO. That's interesting that you were, but not really. I know that your other moniker was Speed something. Do I have it written down?
Oh, Speed Sensation.
Speed Sensation. So did the moniker that you're going with, Flash Speed Sensation, is that stem from comic books or just because you're like a go, 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 go kind of wrestler?
I think it's more just like the go, go, go. Like I needed a word to relate with speed and whatnot. And obviously you can't use the Flash because, copyright would be crazy, whatever and whatnot. And I used to like the Flash when I was a kid. So I was like, you know what, maybe I can just use that singular word. And, obviously like the question do is like, oh, do you like watching, do you do the comics? Do you watch the movies? Like, again, not as much as I should.
Right.
When I was younger, huge superhero fan, all that stuff was my thing, but not as much now.
Did you switch from Speed Sensation to Flash? I'm just thinking of Speedball Mike Bailey because we had him on the show, and I know, was that like in the back of your mind?
No, originally it was Flash, and then I started to come up with some kind of moniker, so Speed Sensation became the moniker, and obviously I did know of Speedball way beforehand, so I was like, oh, well, I don't want to be too much like this person, and now, I love Mike. He's an awesome person.
He is a phenomenal human being and an amazing singer. He came out here and he sang.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird.
I know that.
It was great. It was not weird. It was phenomenal. Well, I was prepping for you tonight. I don't know if you were hearing me earlier. I did prep while at work today. Don't tell anyone, but that's okay. And I noticed that you've been collecting hardware, a lot of belts, some medals, a lot of stuff you're collecting. Is it hard to travel with all that hardware?
I don't travel too much with it. I only take it to shows that I need the belts at. I don't take every single belt to every single show.
You should,
because that would be, I should. But like I think Kylon actually has a bag for his belts.
Oh, really? That's your tag partner from Miracle Generation.
Yeah, I have mine sitting at the house, and if I need them for a certain show, then I'll bring them with me.
He takes his to the grocery store.
Yeah, everywhere probably.
Where is it to buy paper towels? Another thing I learned, lots of accolades. I went straight to Cage Match like every great podcaster does. Got all your titles listed. I've forgotten most of them. A lot of accolades. Tag champions, like you said, with Kylon. So I'm listening to you. You're an extremely humble and appreciative young independent wrestler.
I appreciate that.
You're huge in the New England area. You're from Connecticut. There's obviously New England area, the Boston area, Maine, Jersey, New York. You go farther, obviously Canada. That is a hotbed, and you're on most of those cards. I mean, humble guy. Like, do you know how do I want to put this? Bookers want you on, right? I mean, let's be honest. Bookers want you on their show.
Yeah, like it's a weird question to like, it's
Right.
like it's weird to talk about it
I
because
bet.
like
I can't even imagine.
I don't see myself as not humble, and I don't see myself as like I don't see like, people are like, oh, do you understand like what and like who you guys are right now? Like I really don't, because like especially if you take like Wrestling Open for instance,
Right.
like I was at Wrestling Open since episode 1 when there was like 35, 45 people in the crowd, and now we're getting 345. And it feels the same, but it's really an insane atmosphere. So when people from the outside in ask, like, sometimes you just got to sit and like take things in and just be like, wow, like I've done this, and like my dream since I was a kid was to be a professional wrestler, and the second I had my debut, you could check off the dream. So
Right.
now there's really no other goals. So yeah, I take every opportunity. I treat every opportunity the same. That's the one thing that's different. I think I treat everything the same, whether there's 10 people or 100 people in the crowd. Like I just want to wrestle, so I'm just very grateful for every opportunity I'm given.
Uh, you talked about Wrestling Open, from going from
Mm-hmm.
like 10 people in the crowd or like 30 people to like now 350 people. We'll say. Um,
Crazy.
Wrestling Open to me is, I don't know how to describe it. If it's like a brand of Beyond or its own company, I don't know how to describe it. But what I do know is that it's above a bar. And when it first started, you would probably get a ton of people there that like literally just bought their drink, walked upstairs, and was like, "What the hell is this? What am I watching?" So you got a bunch of people that know nothing about wrestling. To now, I'm assuming it's probably filled with more knowledgeable people, I guess is the word. Is there a difference that you're noticing between episode 1 to now?
Not even really. I feel like there's more non wrestling fans than there were in the beginning, because
Wow.
it was a brand, like it was under the Beyond brand, but
Right.
Wrestling Open has now became like its own company, so it's really its own brand now.
Okay.
And the White Eagle is just a bar.
Yep.
So in the beginning, it would be the hardcore Beyond fans that would go because they knew that this new show was starting. And now when people go downstairs in the restaurant and they want to come upstairs and drink, and they see this giant, just square box with ropes on it, and they don't know what it is, and they see people throwing each other around and fighting, and they're like, wow, this is pretty cool. So you
Yeah.
have some we really like built our own fan base. Some people don't even know anything about AEW or WWE. They don't, like,
Wow.
they'll have guys like Max Caster or like the Wheeler Yutas. Like they'll have those guys come in
Yeah.
and they'll cheer for the homegrown guys more because they've seen us for 56, 70 weeks, like however many weeks we've been doing this.
Yeah.
And the hardcore Beyond fans are the ones that are there first. They're the ones that get in there when the doors open, and they're on the ring, they're pounding on the mat, and then the people in the back are just kind of going along with it. So
Wow.
it's really like we've built our own fan base, and I think that's just so cool.
I'm just thinking, like, because that's in Worcester. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm just like saying to my wife, like, let's go to the White Eagle. We'll eat. We'll get something to eat. Hold on, I gotta go see what's happening upstairs. That's crazy. And you and I believe, Miracle Generation, you guys were the first, not only the first champions of Wrestling Open, but tag champ. The first champions were tag champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, what does that mean to you personally, and for the world of tag team wrestling? Like, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot because when we first came into Beyond, we were just helping literally just set up the
Right.
ring at uncharted territory, and just they had the tag team discovery gauntlet. And that was it. The discovery gauntlet was as real as it gets. They were literally discovering tag teams. Like we were like they came up to me and Kai and they asked, like, Drew asked us, are you guys a
Yeah.
tag team?
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, we are. We
Sure.
weren't, but we are now. And put us in the tournament, and we ended up winning it. And it was like I believe we were the only tag team match on the card when we won the Discovery Gauntlet. And going from that to now having the majority of the matches on Wrestling Open be sometimes tag team matches, and like you said, going back to being the first champions of like Beyond Wrestling even hasn't even had a championship before. So
Yeah.
having the first ever like Beyond and Wrestling Open Championship be tag team titles was one of the coolest things ever for sure.
Um, I want to rewind a little bit. Uh, as I said, you're from Connecticut. You grew up. Your parents weren't wrestling fans. They didn't. Why? It wasn't something in the house. But one of the
Um,
coolest things that your dad did was he took you, or he introduced you to wrestling. Like he's like, well, I don't enjoy it, but maybe young Dustin here will, and he got you hooked.
yeah, like he never watched wrestling at all. Like my mom had known, they obviously knew what it was, but it was just like I like if if I'm at his house on a Saturday, he's like, "Do you want to watch this thing I recorded?" Because I was like, "Sure," and we'd watch like the Raw and SmackDown, and then like it just became something that we'd do. Like every week, we'd sit down and we'd watch Raw, we watch SmackDown because he'd tape them all throughout the week, and I just sit there when I came home from school on the weekend and just watch them all. And in the beginning, my mom wasn't too fond of me watching wrestling because I was,
Yeah,
8 or 9 when I
yeah,
first started watching, I think.
yeah,
So I wasn't as young as most people start, but I was still young enough to like, for my mom not to like it. But
yeah.
we ended up going to the shows and stuff like that. And it just became like a thing of like I enjoyed the superheroes and stuff like that. But once I got introduced to wrestling, like everything was gone. Like it was just, I want like tunnel vision. It felt like this is the only thing I want. I want to go to every show. But when I get old enough, I want to do this. So like, it really just became like an obsession, honestly.
So as you go up through high school, because that was at a young age, as you go up, do you think in yourself, well, maybe I should join the wrestling team or play this sport or do this? Did you do all those things with the mindset of this is where I'm going to end up anyways?
I wanted to. My high school didn't have any sports. It was a smaller charter school, so we
Okay.
didn't have any sports. They had outside sports that you can go to other high schools in the area for. But
Right.
I was really looking at wrestling schools, and I started training in my sophomore year of high school.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
believe I debuted in my junior year. So all throughout high school, I was going through the whole process of
That's crazy.
becoming a wrestler. Which there are ups and downs to it. Like I love it because I'm happy I started as early as I did. Because
Right.
I've met people that wish that they started when they were 16, 15, 14. They started when they were younger. And sometimes I'm like, because high school is so hard now because of that. Because I was just so focused on wrestling. Like if I had a show on a Friday and I had school that day, like I would just, my mind would be nowhere but focusing on the show I had later. So like, I'm very grateful that I did start as early as I did, but it made school rough. It really did.
Did people know that, like, oh, Dustin's got a show this weekend, or you come in on a Monday, or did they know what you were doing on the weekends?
Yeah, they did, but my school, the high school I went to, was very based off of like, okay, when you
Oh,
graduate, what college are you going to?
right.
Like, where what are you doing with your life? And I was just like, I'm doing this, like I wasn't even for like school wasn't for me in general. I wasn't really focused on college. I was like pushing the wrestling thing. I just
Yeah.
wanted to keep doing it.
Yeah.
And it was hard in the beginning to get the point across to my teachers when like every single project would be something related on wrestling. Like everything would be on wrestling. When a project would have to be on what college I'm going to, it'd just be a wrestling show or a wrestling school or this here. Like
Right.
it just had to slide wrestling in somewhere. And I feel like they just had to deal with it at some point.
What do you want to do when you're up? Well, I want to suplex someone. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
You're gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. It's good to hear your experience. We've had Billy Starks on here a few times. She's gotten the same. Like it's just like big. Like it makes it high school. Not that high school isn't hard in its own right, but when you have basically this other job on your hands, pretty much,
Yeah.
it's challenging, and it's just man, I definitely couldn't do it. I barely got through high school myself. You get to train. So where did you go first? Because I know Paul Roma, one of your trainers. Was he the first one you went to?
I went to a smaller school somewhere in Connecticut, but they closed like a month after I started going, and
Okay,
that's when I found Paul Roma's school. So he's the person that trained
he's
me,
your main trainer.
and
Yeah,
Todd Tylon as well. So yeah, we're from there.
nice. Did you? Because you and Kylon use Power and Glory's finisher. Did you? Have you gotten to use it on them yet, or Paul yet?
No, no, have not got to use it on Paul. I don't know if I think his boots are hung up,
You don't think you
but
take that? But his bump card's used up.
yeah, but yeah,
Man,
we definitely thought it'd be a cool little homage to do because no one really does. Like you
no,
see some variations of it, but no one does it like they used to do it. So we try to just do it as much as they did.
I agree. And for those listening at home or we'll catch this on replay, go back and look it up. Go look at Power and Glory. Their finisher. Oh gosh, what the fuck was the name of it?
New Powerplex, that's what it was.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, Powerplex.
Yeah. Uh,
suplex and a
nasty.
splash meet at the same time. It's crazy, especially for at that time to think of something like that happening.
Yeah.
No one was doing anything like that.
Yep.
And it's insane. And it's such a beautiful and it's simple to think about. It's not simple to do,
Right.
but it's such a beautiful move. So yeah.
Well, we had someone on here that was telling us like they were traveling or on the road and they would think of all these moves and they're like, "Oh man, this is a great move," and thought they invented a move just to find out, no, this person has already done this or that. So it must have been even at that time when either Paul thought of it,
Mm-hmm.
must have been hard to even come up with new moves and moves are so I guess protected. Like did you guys? I'm sure you did because he was your trainer, so it's kind of a dumb question. But did you ask for permission first to use it? Was it his idea?
I don't even think we did. I think
You just
I
did it.
think because I think the first time that we used it was at Beyond, and we just did it. And I think we showed him, and he was like his thing, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's not better than mine, but that's fine. You can use it."
Sounds
Like that's how he's always like, "Yeah, you could do an elbow drop, but it's not going to be better than mine."
yeah.
So that's just how Roma is and his beliefs, and that's fine. He had no problem with us using it because not a lot of people do it. So if it was overused, then I assume he would have something else to say. But he definitely has no problem with us using it.
Um, something literally just popped into my head from about 5 minutes ago. We were talking about high school, wrestling at a young age, growing up. You, Billy Starks. Have you gotten in the ring with Nick Wayne yet?
No, but we
No.
have talked, and we really want to get in the ring together, very much so.
I
We've talked a lot. Like I see Nick at so many shows.
yeah, I
Like
bet.
we went to California, I saw him at West Coast Pro, and I was like, dude, when? It's
Right.
got to happen. Got to happen.
Um, for those people that may not have ever seen you, or know much about you, describe your in ring work, your style. We talked about Flash, go go go. I wouldn't technically consider you like a Ricochet style wrestler. I'm looking more like uh well, geez, Wheeler Yuta right here, that type of wrestler. But for those at home, why don't you describe your in ring style?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put it on a
I,
certain level because obviously
it's a
I'm
dumb
not doing
question,
anything
right?
like I'm not doing close to what Ricochet does. I'm not doing anything close to what Velasquez does. But when I first got into independent wrestling, of course, those are the guys I watched because I'm like,
Right.
oh, that's cool. I want to do that. But then I have to think logically and be like, okay, I'm a little taller than them. I'm a little bit slimmer than them. My body might not move like them. So I start to look at guys that really have the same body type as me, like Shane Strickland,
All right.
Myron Reed, guys
Yeah.
like that. They're not necessarily bona fide high flyers, but they can move
They can
and they can fly.
fly, but they don't as often.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like people like to come up to me and say, "Oh, all the flips you do." I was like, I really don't fly as much. I maybe once or twice a match, maybe. Like I don't. It's not that I don't feel comfortable. I obviously do, but I feel more comfortable running. I feel more
Yeah.
comfortable moving around. So it's definitely like I don't want to say unorthodox, but just I'm not a high flyer, but I'm not a mat wrestler. So I think, like you said, Wheeler Yuta would probably be a perfect in between
Yeah.
position for right now.
Myron Reed's good too.
Yeah.
The more I'm thinking about it, you give me Myron Reed vibes. Because he can do the high flying, the moves and stuff when they
Mhm.
make sense. I believe you're the same way, but unorthodox. I like that word. Uh, yeah, that's how I would describe it if someone asked me. You also mentioned another name of a person we've had on here before. You talked highly about Richard Holiday.
Oh yeah.
Um, and big shout out to him. He's breathing in that rarefied air.
Yeah.
What does he mean to you and your growth to where you are right now?
He's done so much for me. Like he's trained by Paul as well, so he's from that same area. And when myself and Kylan got to that point of going to other shows, he'd be the one to invite us there and take us places. He was one of the key reasons that we got into Beyond. Like he put
Nice.
a good word in for us and said, "These guys are my guys. They're really good, and they'll give you what you want." And he's been such a good help teaching us so many different things. Me and Kylon have wrestled him. I've wrestled him countless amount of times. And yeah, he's helped us so much, like so much to get to us to where we are. So really a big thanks is to Rich for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully we'll see him back in the ring sometime
Yeah.
soon. You know,
Open for it.
oh, yeah, damn straight. Uh, I want to get to ask you some things about tag wrestling and singles wrestling, but before I do that, your wrestler, Kylon, we mentioned him a few times. Describe him in one word.
I would have to just say brother. Yeah,
Like
over time, we really just became like best friends and brothers since we started training together. That's why I think we have the kind of chemistry that we do in the ring is because we wrestled a lot before we became a tag team. Like we had a lot of matches against each other. We've trained a lot with each other, so we know each other really well, and we know what works and what doesn't. And we hang out all the time. Like we're always with each other. You know, like even if it's not to do with wrestling, we'll just go chill, do something, get some food. Like it's definitely like especially when tag teams like ask us like how you get that chemistry. It's just like it's not just in the ring. Like you have to be really close with someone. If you look at some of the best tag teams in the world, they're twin brothers.
right.
Like they're people that have been with each other for their entire lives. So I definitely think he's just a brother of mine for sure, 100%.
Excellent. Excellent definition. I was just thinking too. You said brothers. You know, whether they're the Hardys, real brothers, or they're like Edge and Christian or the Rock and Roll Express. I'm thinking, who gets the hot tag between you and Kylan? Who's the one that's getting the hot tag?
That's the thing. We switch it up all the time. It doesn't matter. That's the one thing that's different. You can watch a match every other week and we'll switch it every time. It really doesn't matter. That's why it also works so well. There's no one can really predict what we're going to do. You have no idea what's going to happen. So it's literally 50-50 split.
Do you prefer singles wrestling or tag wrestling? I'm sure you've been asked that 1,000 times. I'm going to answer for you. Ready? I know what you're going to say. I think I know what you're going to say. You can do singles wrestling. You like it, but you love tag wrestling. There's more to do. There's more to tell story-wise in tag wrestling. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. You hit it right on the nail.
Yeah,
right on.
I did.
I started out as a singles wrestler, and I had no intention on ever being a tag wrestler. Like, I'd never had anyone that I was like, oh, I want to be a tag wrestler with this person. Like, I never had the thought. I'd watch it, and it'd be cool, but never in a million years would I ever think that I'd be a tag wrestler. So really getting into it in the beginning, we were like still trying to figure it out and how we felt about it. And now, like, yeah, we can do singles matches. Like, you know, I wrestled Leo Rush. Like, I can still have a singles match,
Yeah.
but
Solid.
and
It's hot.
we can still have tag matches. And I definitely do enjoy tag wrestling more, just because I feel like tag wrestling is a lot more popular now than it was even if I say a year ago.
Yep.
Tag wrestling is really like tag team matches are main eventing shows now. And it's really, really good. I love it. Love to see it.
I always loved tag wrestling when I watched wrestling growing up. I'm, as I said, much older. I was a big fan of the Heart Foundation, Demolition, the Brain Busters. Oh man, and I always loved the hot tag. I got distracted. My fucking NHL feed just got switched from the Bruins Panthers game, which was tied 3-3 in the third period. Friggin' the Kraken and Avalanche. But anyways, this is a wrestling show. I mentioned singles and tag wrestling. And I think you're breaking ground, actually, in independent tag wrestling. Just the fact that you said the first champions in Wrestling Open, not only did you get the first title, but it was tag. It was tag team wrestling. So I think you guys are like breaking down the doors. I think it is hot. It is more in the forefront in today's day and age. But heel or face? Do you prefer to be a heel or face?
I think the crowd just loves us too much, you know? Like they like we have a connection with the crowd, and I think that's the main thing of, like you're saying, like we're quote unquote, I guess, trending or whatever. People like us a lot. It's just because people connect with us, because the story that's being told is that we literally were people just sitting in the crowd coming to help.
Right.
And even at the new guys at the Bio Pro Wrestling School, I was up there on Tuesday. It's from Beyond Wrestling. They have their own school now. I was there, and they're just like, what do you do? I'm like, you just have to want it more than anything. And we would be there in the crowd, helping out, doing whatever they needed. So I feel like we just connect so much with the people because we're no different than them.
Right.
They're us. We're just in the ring. Like I definitely like. There's no bad guy Miracle Generation. I can't see it. I just can't see it.
That was some advice you gave on another podcast. You gave the advice of be yourself in and out of the ring. That's how the chemistry, you mentioned it. That's how the chemistry with you and Kylan works. You guys are literally just being yourself. Obviously cranked up a little bit for entertainment purposes. But I just thought that was great advice out there to young wrestlers, like you said, start at an early age. I mean, my kids are into wrestling. My oldest one, not as much anymore. She's 13 going on 19, but not as much. The middle one is strong style till the cows come home. She is stiffer than she'll kick you square in the jaw. So you're saying, like, if they're into it, I should push wrestling as opposed to. What would be your advice? Let me ask you this way.
Yeah, it's hard because like I realized really quickly that getting into wrestling it can be a hobby,
right?
But if you want to do it for the rest of your life, it can't be. It has to be Monday through Sunday. Like you are focused on wrestling, like 7 days a week, 24 hours. It has to be something that you surround yourself in if you want it to work out. Like
right.
if you go to training on a Monday and a Friday and you wrestle on a Saturday. There are guys and girls that do that, and there's nothing wrong with that because they enjoy to wrestle. But if they really want this, like it's definitely something that you just got to put 110% into.
Yeah, that's tough. They're already in so much stuff.
Yeah.
Not that it's a while ago, COVID time. They were really into it because we couldn't go anywhere, and like that's all we were watching. And it was interesting to watch wrestling without fans. I was trying to explain to them, like, this is historic. You're never going to see this again, probably, hopefully, whatever the case may be. But they don't. Plus, it's softball season, so they don't talk about any of that anymore. Also, to the younger people starting up, or anyone that doesn't know much about Dustin Waller, Flash Dustin Waller, who has joined us here tonight. If there was one match, I can only watch one match tonight. I'm going to get off the stream. I can only watch one of your matches. Which one is it and why?
Damn, it's a mix between two, but I have to pick one.
Yeah, yes you do.
I would say me versus Leo Rush.
Oh,
gotta be me versus Leo Rush. That's the match for me. That did it for me. That was one of the guys that really got me into independent wrestling. Like I would watch him in the early beginning. If people can find old matches of old matches of me when I first started. Most of my moveset was Leo Rush's moveset.
Yeah. And
to have that match personally requested from him, even on that standpoint, was even cooler. And to have it at Wrestling Open, it was just, that's the match that I can recommend for anyone to go watch. Just a lot of emotion in that match for sure.
That's awesome. He personally chose you.
Yeah, there was a match. Excuse me, my freaking... another run in by my man Jonathan.
Oh my God, is that a ferret?
Ferret.
Oh, I had one of those in college.
This is my man Jay scratching up. So this is John.
Look at hey John, and yours is like almost like albino-ish. It's whitish, right?
Yeah, he's definitely. I got him a little older, so he's slowing down, but he's starting to scratch up the place and run around.
I had one. It was brown. His name was Mongo.
Sweet.
Yeah. We trained him we trained him to bring beer bottles back.
They do hide things. I found out. Ferrets like to hide things, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But so I had a match at GCW. There was a scramble match, and Leo was in it. And unfortunately, I got knocked out cold in that match. 100% gone, like concussed, knocked out, done. And there was a small show of respect that he had after the match. He gave me a fist bump after the match because he was very concerned. Even coming to the back, when I finally came to, I think it was like 30 minutes later that I woke back up. He was there and he was just like, yo, we got to get the one-on-one someday. And then he head out and I was like, yeah, of course, got to be respectful. He'll say that. Cool. And then when I see the match get announced at Open, I was like, oh my God. I reached out to Wrestling Open, the official was like, "Oh, thank you for this match." He was like, "Don't thank us." I'm like Leo, like thank Leo. You know, like he's been wanting to have that match since what happened, and I'm like, wow. So he's really like Leo is really just one of the nicest guys I've ever met at that level, and me and Colin can both say that because he was so nice to us, so nice to everyone at Open, and we had matches that I don't think I'll have with anyone else. You know, like Leo is really he's that guy for sure, and I have all the respect in the world for him.
Wow. Um, Getting knocked out in a match, first of all, sounds extremely scary to me. But my question
Yes.
is, okay, how was it like something basic, like a basic thing, like maybe a body slam or what? What was it?
Yeah, it was on a power bomb. It was something very simple, just literally like a freak thing. Nothing like no one's fault intentionally. It was just boom. That's it. I didn't know until I wake up and I'm in the back. That was something scary for sure. But it happens, you know. Like the one quote that people like to say is that wrestling isn't ballet, and that's 100% true. Like it
Yeah,
is extremely dangerous, and you live and you learn for it. It's definitely changed my mentality on wrestling a lot more than I thought it would. Same thing as getting this freaking scar in my eyebrow. Like getting injured is definitely like really made me see wrestling differently for sure, but in a good way. In a good way for sure. Like taking not taking it for granted.
yeah. It popped in my head because MJF tweeted something earlier today and then took it down. But you know the friggin' dirt sheets, they capture it. And it's almost like a marketing tool. But he wrote, the fans don't understand that at any given point we can be paralyzed from the neck down, or even die from a maneuver as simple as a body slam.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you said you got knocked out, I was just curious. I was like, wow, that's scary shit.
Yeah.
It was probably on something routine that you've done 1,000 times. Uh,
Yeah, it's like it's the smallest things that can that injuries can happen. You know, some of the most gruesome injuries that you see from wrestling are from what looks like nothing.
yeah,
So yeah, it was definitely a learning experience, and I say it all the time that like I strongly believe that everything does happen for a reason. So if that had never happened, I would have never wrestled Leo Rush.
it's true. Yeah, you're
Like
right.
as simple as that. The match would have happened. It would have been that. Shake hands, leave. Like it would have never became. He was actually one of the first people to reach out to me after I had got concussed because he's had plenty of concussions and he was just telling me about what to and not to do. So I think it was like a month and a half. I just stayed home, stayed in bed, and yeah. So definitely, I got a lot of respect for Leo for sure.
Wow, nice, great stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so you gave us one match to watch, the Leo Rush match. You go out, you're all over the East Coast. As we said, like the New England, all up and down there. Uh, but do you think it's essential to get out of the East Coast and go like west or Canada or overseas? Is that essential, or is the hotbed so hot up and down the East Coast that you can progress even farther just being there, or do you need to get out?
Oh, you definitely got to get out for sure. Get as hot as you can in your area, but it's always good to grow the fan base. You know,
Right.
like especially like IWTV. It's all around the world, but no one has really seen us. So even when we went to West Coast Pro in Cali,
Right.
I've never been to California in my life, or even close to it. So going out there and having some people still know who we were, but then growing a bigger fan base and being like, oh, I've heard of these guys, but they really are this cool. Wow, this was a cool match. Like it's cool to just grow your fan base in as many different companies as you can. So definitely expand your horizons for sure.
Nice. IWTV Tag Team Champion as well, I believe. I think
Yeah,
I read
that
that.
was a big one.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, that was a big one.
When you get inside the ring, you perform, you wrestle, you come out. What's the one thing, or what do you hope people say after a Dustin Waller match?
Oh man, that's a good one. I hope that they want to see more. You know, I hope that they don't think of it as just oh there was this match, but this one was really cool. Like I want to definitely be a standout and have people enjoy my matches and be like, oh, I want to see more of this guy. If they see me on a poster, they want to go to that show. I definitely want people to just simply just want to see my matches because That's how you make it. Is people want to see you. So I just want as many people to see me as possible.
Spectacular. Uh oh shit! I just had a stupid question. Not a stupid question. I had a question, and stupid me, forgot it. Yeah, get out, get your name, get red hot. You want people to book you. The goal, obviously, you're young. Look at you. Are you looking for that ferret?
Yeah, he's running around somewhere. I'm listening. No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay. It's fine. Oh man, I miss my ferret so much.
You're gonna chew some cables out, and then I'm gonna be screwed.
Yeah, that's okay. What's his name again?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. That's great. The goal is one of the quote unquote major promotions, right? I could see you in a lot of places. MLW. We talked about Myron Reed. He used to be there. See you in Impact.
Yeah.
Where do you have a spot you see yourself, or does it not matter?
I never really had a select destination. I think anywhere is like, I love what MLW is doing. A bunch of my friends work at MLW. Like, even like the main event has been up there a lot.
Yep.
Alec just did a match over there. Like, some people that I wrestle with are up there. Some good friends of mine are up there. So MLW, like even Holiday, he wrestles up. He's done now, but he was been up there for 4 years. He was there.
Yeah.
MLW helped him a lot. So I see MLW is a great place. Impact is always a place. Impact's the second wrestling company that I discovered, because obviously the first was WWE, and then I discovered Impact. So that was also, they're doing great stuff. A lot of people there that I'd love to tear it up with. AEW, like pretty much anywhere. Like I'm like I said, I look forward to my next opportunity, and whatever it is, like, I'm ready for anything.
Speaking of next opportunities, I have written down here on my very well professional laid notes on my work computer to promote Fight Life #1. What do you got coming up? You got some Black Label Pro stuff beyond? You got some shows. What do we got going on?
See. Yeah, I'm trying to. I think literally tomorrow on Wrestling Open, we're doing a little celebration, a little in-ring celebration for the Miracle Ones with all of our gold. So that should be fun.
Bringing all that hardware.
Yeah, gonna go to some little party store and buy some nice little stuff. Get some little confetti poppers or something.
Oh, I got some.
So
I got some St. Jude confetti poppers.
So Wrestling Open tomorrow. Saturday we're gonna be at Northeast Wrestling, which is another big company in the Connecticut area.
Huge company.
That's the first independent company that I ever went to, that I ever discovered. So that's actually where I first saw Ricochet wrestle, and that's where I really became a fan of independent wrestling.
Yeah, they bring in a lot of bigger names too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Acclaimed is there Saturday.
Ooh.
So, and I've wrestled Caster before, but I don't think I think they're wrestling the Righteous. So, Acclaimed is there. So we got NEW on Sunday. We got Beyond Wrestling. We're gonna be having I believe a 6-man tag against the Stetson Ranch. So there's that one. That should be fun. Like you said, Fight Life #1 for Ichiban. It's gonna be Ichiban versus Joey Janela. That's going to be one hell of a match for sure. I love Fight Life. Fight Life's great. They're awesome. That's a up and coming company that.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is the first, when I wrote it down, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, so this is like I believe it's their like 11th show, but since it's their first ever Connecticut show, so it's literally 5 minutes down the street from my house, so that's pretty awesome.
Perfect, right?
I was telling them, I said, you got to run a show in Connecticut, that'd be awesome. And they did it, and they named it after Ichi, so that's even cooler. And I believe that's May 24th. I think May 10th they're having a show. I believe that's Fight Life 10. That's actually to crown their first world champion. It was supposed to be, like you mentioned him earlier, me and Speedball Mike Bailey.
Right.
But, uncontrollable circumstances had that match not happen, but it's going to. That match has to happen someday. I definitely would want to wrestle Speedball. He's unbelievable. Got that coming up. I think, what is it, next month? Yeah, May's looking pretty good, I think. May's looking good. But coming up is we got Open tomorrow, and then Northeast Wrestling on Saturday, and Sunday's Beyond Wrestling, so. I love busy weekend. Love the busy weekend.
Spectacular. We just had someone pop in the chat, said, are we live? Because sometimes I'll replay interviews. We are live. This is April 26th, Wednesday. I
I think
think.
so, yeah.
Something like
We're
that.
live.
We are live. Or are we? That's a
Good
good question.
question.
See that? Anyways, oh gosh, Dustin, I feel like we could go all night, but that's what
Yeah.
makes the show fun. We leave the door open for you to come back. But what we do at the end of every show is I'm going to give you the microphone now. Your links have been going off in chat. Well, your link tree. But I'm going to give you the mic. You can plug anything you want. Your socials. You can bury anyone you want if that's something you're into. Put over anyone you want. Basically, I'm just not going to interrupt. The floor is yours.
Yeah, all my socials are at It's Dustin Waller on Instagram, Twitter, freaking TikTok. Not that I really post anything on there, but I guess that's what people use nowadays. All the Miracle Generation pages are at Real Miracle Gen and Pro Wrestling Tees. Got a good old Pro Wrestling Tees account and put people over. And Kylon King and Ichiban. The Miracle One celebration. Tune in tomorrow on IWTV Wrestling Open. Celebrate with these belts and the first ever champion of Wrestling Open, Ichiban. That match was absolutely phenomenal. If anyone hasn't watched that, watch Ichiban versus Brad Hollister in the finals of the Wrestling Open title tournament. That was one of the craziest matches I've ever seen, and I was a part of it.
Sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go.
Excellent. Well done, sir. Well, I'll tell you what, you've been phenomenal to have on. You've been easy to talk to. Hope you had fun.
I had a lot of fun. This was great. It was awesome.
Yeah, you can come back anytime. Just whatever you need to talk about. But until then, thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah. Have a great night, man. Peace.
You as well.
That was Flash Dustin Waller. Woo! It was phenomenal. And when I gave him the mic to put himself over and say all that stuff, I had to sneeze so bad. I thought I was going to sneeze in the middle of it.